Hey guys, this week's video is all about editing. Next level techniques and things that are going to take you from that base knowledge editor to somebody who is really marketable and excellent at their job. Real editing positions are looking for editors that are sharp, quick, and willing to do all of these next level things that we'll be talking a little bit more about. To this point, what you've learned here at school has given you the basics. You've got that baseline knowledge and you've come a long way. But learning these tricks or remembering these tricks or just sharpening these tools a little bit more are going to make you quicker and excellent and teach you some things to create some really excellent projects that you guys are going to continue to do here at the school. First off, let's review shortcuts. Obviously, the first shortcut that was banged into your head in previous courses was Control S or Command S. Save often. You need to be saving all the time. I've seen a lot of editors go through some real heartbreak and real tears by not saving as often as possible. Save every 5 minutes, if not more. It takes 1/4 of a second to hit Control S, Command S to get you moving, so do that and you'll be a happier editor in case something goes wrong, which, let's face it, things go wrong often. Another really helpful shortcut with Premiere would be zooming in, zooming out. Really convenient that the plus zooms in and the minus zooms back out. Another great tool, another great shortcut, right next to those two buttons, the zoom in or the zoom out, the plus and the minus, is just the backslash. The backslash will show you the entire timeline in just one quick button. This is helpful especially after you've done a render. A lot of times once Premiere renders something, it'll go back to the very beginning of the project and it might still just be showing you a small portion of what's being done. You hit the backslash, boom, shows you the entire project in the timeline. Really helpful shortcut there. In your earlier editing classes, you learned about the cut tool, about the blade tool in Premiere. You know that if you just hit C, it goes to that and you can make a single cut through either your audio or video. However, a next level trick is if you hold down Shift while hitting C and clicking, that will cut all the way through every single piece of media that you've got. You can cut through video and audio all in one smooth stroke. If you think back to your Photoshop days, Shift adds to a selection. It's kind of the same concept here with the cut tool, with the blade tool in Premiere. So holding down Shift will make that cut straight through, all the way through your timeline. Really helpful tool there. Depending on what you're doing with your feature, you may want to actually create a freeze frame in Premiere. This is a little bit of a different process, but the idea is, first thing you need to do if you want to actually stop that footage and keep it just on one specific portion of a clip of your video media, what you'll do is, first of all, have the clip down in the timeline. Next, you will highlight said clip and then right-click. Make sure that your scrubber is hovering over the spot where you need it to be, and then one of the options will be Insert Hold Frame Segment. Once you click on that, that will create a little 2-second option of length of that clip, and then you can just kind of cut things in and out according to how you want them. And this will create a freeze frame, maybe for a sweet backdrop for your full screen graphic, or if you just want to really point out a specific portion of this to your audience. Speaking of pointing out certain things to your audience or keeping your audience's attention, what you really need to do, once again, is keep your clip length in mind. You never want to have a clip more than 5 seconds long, and ideally, the time frame is somewhere between 2 to 5 seconds total. Anything shorter than 2 seconds, your audience might not fully understand or grasp what you're going for. Anything longer than 5 seconds is completely boring, and you're going to lose your audience's attention. Also, a great way to lose your audience's attention, reusing B-roll. Don't reuse B-roll. Once you've thrown a shot up there, that's awesome, that's great. You've shown it to your audience, you've given your camera operator the respect that he deserves or she deserves. Just move on though. Do not reuse B-roll clips. Only use a shot once, or even similar shots. You don't want to throw up into one of these pieces, especially seeing as these things are only 2.5 to 3 minutes long. Your audience doesn't need to see the same thing over and over and over again, no matter how awesome that shot is. Also, going back to your camera operators and the footage that they bring you as an editor. Sometimes they might have a little too much headroom in those OTS interviews. Sometimes when you're out on location, you might just not notice something, or you might have a different look or feel than what the editor is going for. The idea though is, as we know, to get that proper headroom with these OTS interviews. If your camera operator brings you footage that is a little too much does have a little too much headroom, it's really simple to change this thing slightly. What you can do is go into the source window, the effects controls in the source window. Click on motion, and then you can change the scale. Now you don't want to go nuts here, because what you are doing is changing the picture quality. So somewhere between maybe 5–8%, if you take that scale from 100 to maybe 104, 105, you can change this up a little bit. But keep in mind, anything more than that, you're really going to lose some picture quality. So you want to stay away from that. Another cool aspect of changing the scale is if you hover your arrow right over that number, left click, and if you just move the mouse right or left a little bit, you can see how the scaling will slowly go up or slowly go down. And then you can change things accordingly. Or you can just do it the old-fashioned way, click on the number, and then put in your own amount, whatever it might be. Now, a moment ago, I mentioned going into the effects controls in the source window, and then obviously you have the effects tab in the project window. This is not to be confused with your layout menu that's going on at the top of your Premiere project. This is something that a lot of new editors run into problems with. They go up and they click the audio in the layout menu, or they click the effects or the color correction in the layout menu. You do not want to go and move into those selections. What you want to do is stay in your set preset, which for us will be the DVC layout. Always make sure that that is blue, always make sure that that is the thing that's highlighted, rather than going into editing, audio, whatever it might be. Stay in the DVC layout. This is critical for everything to continue to work properly and for you to get things done in an efficient manner in Premiere. One of the final things to keep in mind while you're editing, some folks really are great at sitting and then just putting their butt in the seat and going to town for hours and hours and hours and hours of editing. This isn't for everybody. I recognize this, and maybe you realize this. Make sure to take breaks. Even if you are one of those people that can sit for hours and hours, sometimes you need to get up, walk away, and then come back and see things with fresh eyes. Another important concept is maybe bring in one of your classmates to take a look at your timeline, take a look at the project, to make sure that everything is going as it is. You know, if you keep listening to the same audio, you might miss a glitch and then just consistently not hear it anymore. So fresh eyes on a project go a long, long way. Another concept to keep in mind is something that we'll teach you and call an upcut. An upcut actually starts before the editing process. You know, as a viewer, we don't really like to see those long zoom ins. They take too much time. What a cooler effect is starting with the wide shot of whatever the shot may be, and then just cutting right to the close-up or the medium shot without all that boring zooming in. It's just a quick thing that you've probably seen an awful lot. It's called an upcut, and again, your camera operator needs to do this ahead of time. As an editor, you can't just do this by yourself with whatever footage they give you. So this is something that is planned out on the shoot, and then you can utilize and create a really dynamic, interesting shot or an interesting sequence as you're moving forward in your project. So all of these things will help you become a more efficient and better editor. They're not going to happen quickly. It's not always going to be easy. These things, like everything with editing, takes reps, takes practice. So if you're working on these things in the midst of your project, awesome, practice these things up. If you come in on Open Lab, always a great idea. Come in and work on these things. Try a little bit harder, and these things will make you a better editor. All of this will make you more efficient, and your projects will look more dynamic and hopefully problem-free. That's it for this time. We'll see you on the next one.